You know what was going on in 1946? Well, the baby boom began. Italy became a republic. It's a Wonderful Life premiered. And somewhere in Ilion, New York in 1946, someone was building this. This is my Remington Targetmaster Model 510. Now, the Model 510 was built from 1939 to 1962. The Model 510 itself was built in like 6 different configurations or setups or styles, or whatever you want to call it. 3 of those were smoothbore models, and the other 3 were rifled .22 caliber rifles like this. And this is a single shot 24-inch barrel walnut, American walnut wood stock on this thing. And it's kind of neat the way they were built. All the 500 series, and there were several different 500 series. There was the 510, the 511, 512, 513, and there was a semi-auto version of it, the 550, I think it was. The receivers were built on drawn-on mandrel tubing, seamless tubing that is kind of pulled through a mandrel and made into the size and shape and everything that's supposed to be. Pretty neat little rifle. Now, I've seen a lot of these, and they're easy to recognize because of the little beehive piece at the end of the bolt on here. But I've never owned one. Now I own a Remington Targetmaster. Single shot, like I said, and it's kind of a neat rifle, an excellent rifle for a beginner, because one of the things you'll notice, the side safety here, you put that forward, that's going to be for firing. So you fired your round, and I don't have one in there. Let's go ahead and put a dummy round in there, snap cap that I can pull the trigger on. We'll go ahead and pull the trigger. Okay, now when you're going to cock it, eject it, and the ejector on this thing works great. You go to put it forward, you go to pull the trigger again, you can't pull the trigger because it automatically sets the safety when you open the bolt. Another nice thing about this, if you'll notice the little beehive thing in here on the end, there's no handle to pull on there. So it does cock when you open the bolt. It sets the safety when you pull the bolt back. When you push the bolt forward, it does not unset the safety. The safety is still set, so you can't pull the trigger. One of the things I did notice about this is lockup on this bolt is nice and tight, so I should not have any issues with this firearm with it. It's in pretty good shape. There are a couple little pits of rust on the barrel, some light surface rust on there. Not really light, kind of heavy, I guess. A little bit at the muzzle, a little bit on the front sight, a little bit on the side of the barrel here. But the rest of it is just that brown patina that they normally get. Pretty cool little old rifle. Let's get this thing taken apart and look at the insides of it a little bit. Okay, so to field strip this thing, it's pretty easy. You're going to pull the bolt out first thing you're going to do. And what you got to do that, it's a little trickier. Most of them you just pull the trigger, pull it back. What you're going to have to do on this one is you're going to have to pull the bolt back. You're going to have to push your safety forward because that's the only way you're going to be able to release your trigger. So you pull the trigger back, you pull the bolt out. Pretty easy, right? You go to put it back in, you're going to put it in a little bit, you're going to pull your trigger some, you're going to put it in, it's not going to go in all the way, you're going to have to pull your safety back, then you can put it the rest of the way in. Piece of cake. That's the only thing you got to do is manipulate the safety a little bit when you go to pull the bolt out of here, because it's just not that easy. You can't pull it out until you've released the safety. You can't put it back in until you set the safety again. So the bolt itself it's color case hardened steel. All the pieces on there, you can see the color case hardening on there, all the pieces, the internal parts, the whole bolt and everything. And this one is a little dirty. I haven't cleaned it up yet. I did notice on the surface of the bolt right here where it opens and closes, where it's in that window there, there's some scratches on here that kind of go around it. It makes me think that maybe it was left exposed somewhere, got a little rust on it here, and somebody might have actually taken a file and scraped some of that off there instead of a fine sandpaper. It doesn't feel, you can't feel any of the lines in there. It may not be from a file, but it just looks kind of odd. And I really don't want to re-blue it because it wasn't blued originally. It was color case hardened, and those colors are really beautiful on there. It was both the whole bolt, the entire assembly, and the trigger was color case hardened too. Now, we'll get this thing out of the stock. One thing I like to do is, yes, I am pushing these Wheeler Engineering screwdriver sets here. And the thing I like about these is because when you're using any kind of screwdriver on a gun, you want to make sure you get the stuff that fits the screws properly. Now, this one is the biggest, fattest regular screwdriver in here. Not the biggest one. There is one that's even bigger, but of the normal ones. I guess it's normal. Anyways, the thing I like about it is it fits this screw under here perfectly. If you get one that's real narrow and you put it on there, I'm going to exaggerate a little bit on this. This thing is real narrow. That will end up damaging your screw there, and you don't want to use that kind of stuff. You want to get ones that fit as closely as possible to the screw itself. So just loosen this one screw up on the bottom here, and it is a captive unit, so it's not going to fall out on you. And go ahead and pull the action right out of there. Set the stock to the side, and we'll take a look at the action itself. Now this is all pinned together down here. There is one screw here that is staked, another screw right there that I believe holds, let's see, some of this internal assembly here. This is kind of a, it's kind of like a feed ramp inside there where your round is going to sit in there. You're going to put your round in there, and being a single shot, it's just going to shove it right up inside there. Get that out of there. And like I said, this one is a little dirty, a little fuzzy, a little greasy and stuff in there. So I'm going to get this thing outside and probably give it a good rinsing with some carburetor or brake cleaner or something. Get all that crap out of there, and then get some oil on it again, because if you don't, it's going to rust, because solvents like that, carburetor cleaner, brake cleaner stuff, remove all the oil out of there. And like I said, there's some pretty nasty fuzzy stuff in here that's I don't know how long it's been in there, but it's been in there for quite a while. So we definitely want to get all that out of there. And I did look at the bore on this thing, and the bore looks pretty good. The extractors look good. The ejector works. Everything there works. I don't know if the firing pin works because I have not taken it out to fire it yet. And being a rimfire, you don't want to dry fire them unless you got something like this in there. And that plastic protects that firing pin from getting damaged on there. No way I can really see the firing pin in there, but I'll get it all cleaned up, and then we'll get it out on the range. Okay, so I took it outside, the receiver, the barrel and everything, and I sprayed it down with a good carburetor cleaner, and it is nice and clean. Then I brought it back in and oiled it up real quick and got down in some of the places that need a little bit of scrubbing and everything. Now, one of the things I do like to do is I like to use Froglube. Excellent stuff. I am a huge fan of it. I've been using it ever since I've been doing this channel, and probably even longer than that. I do like to put just a little film of it on the moving parts. Now, I already lubed this up, and the thing about Rem oil is you're going to see it seeping out of places that you didn't even know existed for quite some time. So I am going to see a little bit coming out underneath the rear sight and everything, and it'll just be coming out everywhere forever. Seems like, anyways. But I like to put a little bit of Froglube on the moving parts, and again, to get this in, you have to pull the trigger a little bit. Let me see, is this right? Maybe put the trigger forward, pull it, there you go, and then pull it back, and then push it all the way in. I knew I'd get it one of these days. And everything feels pretty good. I like the way this thing locks up. It locks up nice and tight, and it's got two locking lugs on it that really grip in there really good. I run bore snake through the bore, and I run some patches through the bore there just to make sure everything is good and clean. And now the only thing left to do is to get this thing out on the range. Now, I did see one of the things that said at the rear sight at its lowest setting, it should be zeroed at 25 yards. So we'll give it a try. It does look as if it's maybe a little bit bent on there, and it could very well be. But the only way to find out is to get it out there and give it a few shots. Okay, we're out here at the saloon. I got the Targetmaster out here. I got a target set up at the 15-yard spot. And I got some of these Browning Pro 22s. These are 22 long rifle, 40 grain, round nose, target crimp. They claim 1,085 feet per second. I've only fired like 20 rounds of this in another rifle, and I don't remember exactly how they did, but these are just supposed to be a little a little better round anyways. Now this is a single shot rifle, so we're going to load one at a time. I'll put 5 of them right there, and we'll open it up, get one loaded in there. Now remember, this thing sets the safety automatically. I got my eyes on. As soon as I find my earplugs, I'll get them in. I know I have them here somewhere. Maybe I lost them. Oh, I got them in. Get my eyes on now, and we'll give this thing a shot, see how it does. Looks like it's about 1 inch high. The ejector works great on this thing. Let's try it again. Nice crisp trigger on it. And looks to me like some pretty good grouping too. That one's a little off to the side. Ejector works great on this thing. That target does not look too bad. My windage is a little, but that's probably me. Elevation, like I said, lowest setting, and it's not quite at its lowest setting right there, but at its lowest setting, it's supposed to be zeroed at 25 yards, and I've only got it at 15, so that makes sense that it would be a little bit high, but the grouping's not bad at all. Let's go look at that target. Okay, so I'm not exactly sure which shot is which, but the elevation is pretty consistent all the way across there, and the grouping's pretty consistent, other than the windage a little bit. Now, I did adjust that rear sight just a little bit. I kind of took it off and tweaked it a little bit and put it back on, and it could still be off a little bit. Like I said, it looks like it's got a little twist to it, like maybe it fell over at some time and got hit, who knows. But that's not terrible right there. Let's do some offhand shots. Okay, this time I got my ears in and I know where they're at. So we're gonna do these offhand. We're gonna go for that upper left-hand target on there. Again, safety sets, take it off and ready to go. Way high. That is me though. So my offhand stuff is a little bit off, but maybe that's why they call it offhand. But it's not bad whatsoever. Okay, so there it is. This is the Remington Targetmaster Model 510. It's not the 510A, 510P, 510X. There were different ones, had different features on them. I think the P actually came with a peep sight on the back there, and it's not on this model. Again, it's a pretty cool rifle. This one was made in 1946, but they were made from, what did I say, 1939 or something like that, all the way up to the 60s. None of them have serial numbers on them. There is a decoder you can go to on some website, Remington website. You can look up there's 3 letters stamped on the side of the barrel right in front of the receiver, and that's a date code. You can figure it out. That's how I figured out this one was made in April of 1946. Very cool old rifle. A lot of these things around. I think there were somewhere a little over 500,000 of these things made, probably in the different configurations and different models and everything. But very popular rifle. I picked this one up at a gun show, And in fact, when I was walking out, I had a guy offer me a little bit more than what I paid for it, and I thought, no, I'm going to keep it because I didn't have one. Now I do. Anyways, thanks for taking a look at the Remington Targetmaster with me. And if you could, reach up here and hit this button to check out some of my other videos. Hit the little round one down here to subscribe if you haven't already. And thanks for watching another one of Granddad's old rifles on Small Caliber Arms Review.